What's up, everybody? Welcome to Above the Board with Josh and Phil, where we stay above the board with Josh and Phil. I was pointing at you.
Above the Board is recorded in front of a live streaming audience. Join us at twitch.tv/abovetheboard or find past episodes at abovetheboardpodcast.com. That's like a new part.
Yeah, I like that.
Year 2023, bringing it in.
Doing things new here at Above the Board, where we keep things above the board.
With and Phil.
But yeah, so like the past few episodes, we've done the Geekin on thing first, or just separate, not necessarily first.
Yes, separate but equal.
Yes, yeah. So this is our Geekin on segment portion of our new episode, starting off 2023 with a banger. You know,
Yeah.
with slaps.
About to play Scout.
Yeah, can't wait. It's a good one.
But first,
What you geeking on, Phil?
what am I geeking on?
Yeah, I think I went first last time, so I'm
Yeah,
like you.
I think I put more things on the list.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this Netflix series, Cook at All Cost. My family likes reality shows and game shows and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and cooking shows, and I kind of like bring it all together. And so I bring it up because I thought it was funny because my wife and daughter watched the first episode, and my daughter said, I think my dad would have opinions about this game.
So is it a game show?
Yeah, it's a game show,
Okay.
but it's like a cooking show. So like the premise is they get like a celebrity chef to go back in to like the back kitchen, and they got the contestants lined up, and this host comes out who's like a Mario Lopez type, but a chef. So I don't know.
yeah,
He
yeah.
does a good job hosting.
Sure.
But it's cook at all costs because they put out 3 boxes of food that's like mysterious, where one is like cheap, like you and I buy at the grocery store, like box mac and cheese is in it.
Right.
And then the high-end one is it's like fresh pasta
Yeah.
and gourmet cheeses. And then the middle box is like a mystery box where instead you get like rice noodles and tofu cheese or something. I don't know. And so it's all these different things. And so each contestant starts with a $25,000 bank, and you have to bid on which box you want. And then while you're cooking, they're like, oh, shoot, I don't have any seasonings. And it like comes out on this conveyor belt. And he's like, who wants spices? And they all bid on it or whatever.
So it's kind of like, not Chopped. What's the other one that Alton Brown did? Cutthroat Kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, they're all the same to me, really.
Yeah.
But I think what I enjoy about this show is the bidding aspect.
Yeah.
But it kicks into my full gamer thing where I'm just like, they designed this game wrong.
Yeah.
Like, because first of all, the first round doesn't matter. Like, you should definitely bid nothing and take the cheap box or whatever.
Yeah. So you can
Because
just add on to whatever
winning
you
the
got.
first round, the only benefit you get is you get to decide who buys which box in the second round. Kind of like so I think it should be like whoever wins the first round gets like half their money back. And so then it's like everyone's going to bid more and buy more things or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also pick in the next round like who gets what box or something like that.
Gotcha.
Or an extra 5 minutes or something that like helps you win the second round.
Yeah.
Because it's also, spoiler alert, like people who get like the cheap box usually win because they're like got to be creative. Like the people who get the expensive box are like, guess I'm making lobster. But the people in the cheap box are like, actually, if I use these noodles and mash them out and make it into a crust and fry the chicken, and the chef is always like, ooh, what a good crust on your chicken.
Yeah, this does sound like a weird remix of Cutthroat Kitchen,
Yep.
which I did enjoy when it was out.
So
I might check this
is.
out. Have you seen the gas station one on Netflix?
what?
Or it's not actually a gas station. It's called like Snacks versus Chefs, and it's just a cooking show. It's not like a game. There's like really no gimmick. It's like almost like Nailed It.
Yeah.
But like with gas station snack foods like chips or
So
candy bars.
are they making chips or they have to use chips?
They have to make snack foods like your over-the-counter type snack foods from scratch. So like Pringles. They have to make Pringles from scratch.
Oh, wild.
Or like Kit Kats from scratch. Like they
Interesting.
can't do...
I'm sad though because I imagine a show where it's like a regular cooking show, but
Yeah.
the kitchen is a gas station. And they're just like, I guess I put this lobster on these rollers.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, the stage is somewhat similar, because, like, you know how a lot of cooking shows have, like, their community fridge or whatever, where, like, all the ingredients is? It's like, it looks like a bodega. They
Gotcha.
just, like, run in and grab whatever they want. But, and, like, everything in it's not, like, gourmet fancy stuff. It's, like, potato powder or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? like to make the Pringles. So, but the people that are working it are like restaurant chefs. They're not necessarily like world class restaurant chefs.
Gotcha.
They're just
Yeah.
like people
Yeah,
that work at Chili's.
Cook at all costs is like home chefs.
Yeah.
Vibe.
Nice. I might have to check it out. It sounds interesting.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
But it did. That's the thing. It made me realize I've decided now in my almost 38th year of life that
38
my
years
dream
young.
job is to be a game show designer consultant.
Ooh,
Like
that would be fun.
Like that's just like I love TV. I love production, and I would just like love to be the guy who makes sure the game design is fun.
That'd be
Because it's like all these game shows. I'm like, it's just some producer. Like, you know, like everybody's like, oh, I can make a board game, and then they make a game that's just like roll the dice and move the squares. Like, I feel like that's how most game shows are. Like, not a lot of thought put into game design of it.
Especially like as of late. Like I just feel like when we were kids, there's a little bit more design into it. You know, like Nickelodeon, man. When we were kids, was like the king of like daytime like game shows.
Like, I feel like in one sense that's maybe the problem.
Yeah.
Is that it's real basic. Like, let's do a trivia game, but the stakes are we're going to dump slime on people and make them climb up mountains or whatever.
Gag.
Yeah. Like, my favorite was still the temple.
Yeah. That's everybody's favorite. With Kirk Fogg. And then CW tried to bring it back as like an actual show. Did you ever see that?
Well, no, I never watched it. We meant to apply and we never got around to it.
No. I'm not talking about the
remake.
I'm not talking about the show, like game show. I'm talking about like the show. Like
they made a drama out of it?
Yes.
The YouTube rabbit hole I'm going down this week.
There you go. It is wild. I've watched it once and I was like, dude, this is what CW does.
Yes. So what are you geeking on?
You know? Speaking of cooking shows, there's a little gem on HBO right now called Last of Us.
I just don't tell me why you call it a cooking show. I feel like that'll make me unhappy.
Does it make you unhappy?
Yeah.
It wouldn't make you feel comfortable, that's for sure.
Is it like a basic zombie plot? Except with fungus?
No, I wouldn't say basic. It's kind of like when Walking Dead was good and like the apocalypse took a backseat. Mm-hmm. It was more about like the human element.
Yeah.
That's a lot what Last of Us is. Of course, there's like mutated monsters, and they're not traditional zombies. They don't even really look like zombies. They're just like corpses with like mushrooms coming out of them. So they're gross.
Yeah.
And it's graphic and gory, but it's not in a traditional sense, which is why I think a lot of people are enjoying the show, because it is a super faithful adaptation from what they look like in the game.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing I want to ask too, because is it like basically like if you've never played the game, here's the story, or is it more? Does it break off from it more?
No, so it's one pro and one con that I have on it. It is very good. It is worth watching if you're a fan of that genre, or if you just want something kind of like epic in scale. But the pro is that it's a super faithful adaptation of the game. Like you can literally take elements or cutscenes from the first game and do it side by side to the first 2 episodes of the show, and it's almost like spot on in some parts. You know, they definitely take dialogue from it, which is cool for both people who haven't played the game. For those who have, obviously, it's like, oh, haha, fun nods, pretty cool. They did a good job adapting this particular moment or this scene or whatever. And for those who haven't, it's already doing, for those who haven't played the game, what it did to those who have, like immersing you immediately. Like it's just dropping you directly into the world in such a way that like you feel like you haven't felt before in that type of genre. Does that make sense?
Cool.
Because like it's not a huge spoiler, because like the trailer is kind of like sets up like the first few episodes, but like the very beginning of it is a flashback to before everything that happened, and then there's a sequence that happens, and then there's a time jump. So which is what happens in the game. But and another pro actually I do want to say is that Neil Druckmann, the guy who wrote the first 2 games and I believe directed them, I could be wrong, he is attached to the project as well for HBO, and he's making sure that like not only are we getting subtle adjustments to like how the show is from the game, but like expanding on the lore. In the first or second episode, I want to say the second episode, we've already gotten a possible explanation for what the apocalypse is.
Oh.
Or like what caused it.
Sure.
Whereas in the game, it's never addressed. But it's never, you don't really care about it, because you care about the characters more than like the events going on around you. So, but then my con that I have on it too, though, is that if you have played the game, it is the same beats.
Gotcha.
So like while you'll get a little bit of like expansion on the background or like characters or like motivations or like something will happen differently from what it does in the game, it's not necessarily for the better in some aspects. Like there's one big scene that's already kind of divided people. They're like, it doesn't really bother me because it's like the same outcome either way for a character. A lot of people are like, I don't like this. This is weird. I hope they don't do more of this later on down the road for other big moments for other characters, you know. For me, I'm like, it's fine. It's just, you know what's going to happen to this one character at this one particular time. I just think it's kind of weird that like the divergement is like the last 30 seconds versus like completely switching the script and making that person do something else entirely.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Overall, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying talking to people who haven't played the game and will never play the game.
Yeah.
Because either they don't have the means to, or they're just not into that sort of, you know, genre.
Right.
Like one of my really good friends, he was like, I'll never play it, but I'm like hooked. Like I want to play it, but I never will play it because I hate horror games.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, that's fair, because Last of Us has a good chunk of jump scares in it.
You know, I love some jump scares.
Yeah. Quite a few, especially in the second one. There's quite a few. But the show got renewed for season 2, and
nice.
Neil Druckmann just said that he was wanting to start adapting part 2 in season 2, which tells me that the game is just season 1. Like the first game is just season 1. So
the second game's going to be season 2, or you think it's going to be like bridging them more?
I think season 2 will start like the first half of season 2 will probably like bridge into the second game, because there's another time jump.
Because the second game, I knew it had a time jump and doesn't have perspective of 2 characters.
It does, which like the game handles it really well, but I feel like it wouldn't translate well into a show.
Gotcha.
Because like it's kind of, the game is designed to where it's like not necessarily played immediately after the first one, but like you have to have a pretty solid like, you know, understanding of the world and like the events that led up to the start of part 2. And I feel like in a show world, like I don't know, like I feel like it just wouldn't translate super duper well unless they did some sort of like world building and like, you know, not necessarily backtracking, but like explaining out characters more. So what about you, man? What's next for you? It's your turn.
I just finished Halo Infinite. If you go back to like our first episodes that we recorded a year ago, we were hyped about Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Oh, man, yeah.
And I was like, idiots giving it to me for free. I'm going to wait till next Black Friday to buy the campaign on discount.
Yeah.
And I did.
Well, there you go.
The after Christmas sale, someone gave me a Microsoft gift card. I was like, Halo Infinite. Game on.
Done. So what's your verdict?
Man, it is... All right. I still think Halo 1 is a masterpiece that holds up to this day.
I agree.
Like, you could play it.
For sure.
Except the library. That level where you're following the monitor and you're fighting Flood.
Yeah,
it's like 5 floors of the same hallway with like some exposition interwoven in, and it's just a slog.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
So Halo Infinite has this huge open world gameplay where there's like these Marines who are like stuck, pinned down. You can like roll in with your Warthog and they'll get in and you'll kill them all. Yeah. And you'll set them free. And then there's like little bases that the Banished is the enemy this time. They like broke off from the Covenant if you're into the Halo lore, which don't be.
It's very extensive and convoluted, I feel like.
It really is. And it just gets worse every game. Apparently the last one, they finished it in a novel and then just started fresh for Halo Infinite, which makes me feel better about being like, I don't know what's going on.
Like the story of the last Halo game?
Yeah, Halo 5 like ends in a like cliffhanger of Cortana trying to destroy the universe.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Halo Infinite, it just kind of brushes over that.
Yeah.
But then, so anyways, so you can, the Banished control these little bases, you take it over, and then you can like, based on the number of guys you've saved and all that stuff, you get Valor points, and so you can call in bigger and bigger equipment, and he'll come in and drop in like the Warthog, or he'll drop in the tank or whatever, and you're like, ha! And like kind of that vibe from the original one, where you're just like rolling over mountains and tanks and blowing stuff up, and mixed with the open world where there's just like a base you have to take over, makes it like really cool. Like it's super fun.
Yeah, I agree.
But the main storyline is, I thought I was like, oh, I'm 90% of the game is over. I'll finish this last quest. It is like a chain of events that is as long as everything I did leading up to it. Where I was like, finished out the whole skill tree, unlocked everything, and then went to the last quest. And it's as much as I had already done. But it's like the library, where you're just like walking down these shiny hallways, fighting wave after wave of enemy.
Banished.
Yeah. And, with the sentinels and stuff mixed in and out, it's a mess. And then it's just like intercut with this storyline where like the ghost, lack of a better term, this ghost of Cortana is just like whispering like, sorry, I tried to destroy the universe. So dumb.
Yeah, that sounds...
And it's so long. And the boss fights are like controller throw frustrating.
Yeah?
Like the final boss is you have to fight a bunch of the strongest alien dudes. And then you have to fight her. And she has this giant shield bar. And she can teleport in a random pattern and shoot energy balls that kill you if you get hit by 2 of them.
Like one takes your shields out and the other one just takes your health? Yep. No.
And it's so frustrating. And then when you finally knock her shields off and hit her, she goes under her shield and there's like another wave of aliens. And like all these boss fights are like I feel like there's 2 ways to make games challenging. And one is you give different environments. So you have to use your abilities different, or like enemies have new attacks or different patterns. And that's fun.
Yeah.
But when it's you just ratchet up their health points and ratchet up the amount of damage they deal, that is not fun. That's like just frustrating.
It's like first 5 years of World of Warcraft,
Yes.
No, I didn't beat it, but I've gotten really far. Like I'm 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah.
I'm probably up to the point like right before that final quest.
Like you do like this big mission where there's like these 3 bases you have to destroy, and then you unlock a middle base, and that's all like really good. And then I was like, I feel like this next part is the last part, and it is.
Yeah.
But it's like 6 hours.
Dude,
of walking through spaceships and fighting impossible bosses.
That's such a pet peeve of mine in any video game. Doesn't matter what the franchise is.
Yeah.
Or it's especially when they hit you with the whole like you can't go past this point without beating the game.
No, you can come back and bounce out of it, but like I did everything.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying like there's I think it was a Dying Light 2.
Oh yeah.
I was playing the heck out of that early last year.
Yeah.
And it's, for its flaws, it's still super fun. Story is bananas, as you can imagine.
Sure.
But, like, I'm, upgrading everything, getting, like, cool weapons. And it's, like, story length-wise, I'm, like, 10 hours in. And all of a sudden, it's like, do you want to go... If you accept this mission, there's no turning back until you beat the game. And you're like, oh, that's weird. So I looked it up, and it's, like, the story's super short. Like, the main quest.
Yeah.
But the last leg of it is stupid long with like no saves, you have to do, it's just like fight, escape something, fight, boss fight, boss fight, and it's like you have to do it all in one go, one take. Ooh. Apparently, or close to it anyway. And it's like there might be like 1 or 2 checkpoints in there. Point is that like that mechanic in games where it's like the last leg of the game is not just like one big climax, it's like a super condensed version of what you've already played.
All right, this is a super minor spoiler, but my daughter was watching me play it, and I finally beat the boss. I'm like, yeah, I got it. And then it's like the whole thing starts collapsing, and it's like dun 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 dun. And I'm like, oh, Lucy, Halo games always end where you drive out in the Warthog over a collapsing base, and it's awesome. A teleporter pops up, and he like hops in it, and he like hugs his friend, and roll credits. And I was like, no. No!
The pilot from the beginning?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. He's like a cool dude.
Yeah, I like that character.
Like, because he does have a big moment, because he's like a scaredy cat for the first part of the game.
Yeah.
And then kind of like right before you get to the finale, he has a moment where he's like, no, we need to save humanity.
Yeah, I like this character.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah.
But in the final moments, you like learn his name. It's like worth a play. I think maybe I've been less frustrated if I hadn't played it on Heroic. But when I started the campaign, it's like, Heroic is for seasoned Halo players. And I was like, I feel
anytime a game calls you out like that, you gotta
answer the call, man. I was like, I've probably had as many working hours in my life as I've had Halo hours in my life. Not bragging. No. Probably kind of a shame.
Listen, no judgment though.
Because that was like my college life.
Yeah. I know people who play Destiny like it's their job or has been their job, And again, no judgment, but can't imagine you not taking the highest difficulty road,
Well, no, Legendary is the highest, but I've had many hours playing through Legendary, and it's rough.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't brag and go for it.
There you go.
Because it was like playing on heroic was totally fine, except for the boss fights,
Or
which
not.
maybe would have been more fine if I played on normal. But
Since we're in video game land, you know, Xbox, well, actually Bethesda, shadow dropped a
they're
new game.
they're Xbox now, right?
Huh? Well, I mean, sure. But they're not like, if you say Bethesda, I feel like you're not just thinking of Xbox. But anyway.
Wait, am I thinking of the right people? They make Morrowind in those games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So many franchises now, you know. But the game I'm talking about
Yeah.
is already a huge seller, and
Yeah.
it's free. It's called Hi-Fi Rush. I'm a sucker for like weird indie games, whether
Yeah.
they're like weird little platformers or like puzzle games. This one is like the most polished, and it's not an indie game. They did Evil Within. I don't know if you ever heard of those. They're the original. Oh, well, there's only two, and like they were produced by the guy who originally did Resident Evil and all that.
Oh, okay.
But they and it's very Resident Evil feeling, like that
Sure.
survival horror, like third person, like weird,
Yeah.
like.
But Hi-Fi
zombie-esque
Rush isn't like
creatures.
that, is it?
No. So that's why like everyone's like blown away by it because like it's that developer, and they just assume that like a lot of developers when they find a niche.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
you know, style, they kind of stick with it. Obviously, Bethesda with Fallout and Elder Scrolls, like these big epic sci-fi, you know, worlds or whatever. So they thought that Tango GameWorks would be the Bethesda's version of, you know, Resident Evil. Like they would just keep doing horror games. But they put out this game, and it's a rhythm action adventure like platformer. Super cool, man. Like everything's like diegetic, right? Like soundtrack, like everything's like happening in the game because like the premise is like you're a dude that has basically an iPod fused into his chest,
Okay.
and it's always playing music. The world reacts to like the music. Like you're always seeing like things dancing to the beat.
Oh,
And if
wow.
you time your attacks to the beat, like it ups your damage and all this other stuff when you're fighting. And you can unlock like combos and like special attacks. You get like little partners that jump into battle to help you like fight certain specific enemy types, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like-
the review I saw that made me want to play it is it says it's like it starts out feeling like a basic rhythm game, but then
Yeah.
they keep adding layers of complexity and abilities to it.
Yeah. Like there's I 100% agree with that. Like the first 10 minutes you just feel like it's cool and the soundtrack is amazing. But like you have to swing your sword or whatever to the beat.
Yeah,
And if you don't, like you can still beat it, but it's just not as
sure.
fun. I do think it's funny though that the game like stresses that like it doesn't matter when you swing or when you attack, like you'll still be on beat. But if you hit it on super beat,
This is like not. I don't know.
it's a little like
I'm rhythmically challenged.
accessible. Well, it's like saying like for people who are rhythmically challenged or can't really like pinpoint like when the beat is in a song. Sadie was watching me play it, and she's like, yeah, it's dun 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 dun, and I'm like, no, it's the other way, and I was right, but like she was going on like the rests essentially versus like the actual like beat. It still adapts to like if you're not able to hit it on beat. It's just you get like a perk for your damage output, I guess.
Okay.
And like you know you have a ranking system. Like you know each like little level has like you know if depending on how quickly you beat it or how well you match the rhythm, you get a ranking.
Nice.
As far as I can tell, it really doesn't do anything except for like give you more stuff to like upgrade your.
Like how I beat every DDR level with like a D- or whatever.
Yeah. The boss fights are awesome. They're just like big over the top like robot monsters. And the boss fights are all licensed songs. Like the soundtrack is like just the original soundtrack that the developers made.
Uh-huh.
But the boss fights have like Nine Inch Nails, Black Keys,
What?
like actual licensed songs.
What?
And it's legit. It's so good. As you beat up on the bosses, like if you do well, like to the beat. And I think that's why they saved it for the bosses, because like people know these songs. So like, oh, I know the song. I can like hit the beat or whatever. So like you hit this rhythm where you're like just wailing on a boss and like dodging their attacks, and it just looks really cool and it sounds really cool.
That's amazing.
Because like as you're fighting, like it adds extra like instrumental layers to like songs that already exist. So it's pretty cool. It's a very pretty game. It's a lot of fun. It's like one of those like surprise drop hits that everyone's like,
Nice.
man, developers should do this more often.
Oh, I need to check it out. Yeah, more media should surprise us, I think.
Yeah.
I'm
'Cause
not
no
a
one was
fan of our like watch trailers for 2 years leading up to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
actual media event.
No, I highly recommend it. It's super good.
Cool.
Super
I want to check it out.
What are you geeking on, Philip?
Just because you said you did play it makes me feel more like I can talk about it. 12 Minutes,
Ooh, yeah.
starring Daisy Ridley and
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy, who is such a good talent. If I didn't know it was him, I would have not known it was him. You know, it like didn't sound like I imagined James McAvoy sounding, but the performance is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so I found it because like I feel like the best kept secret in gaming is Netflix releases games for free, and they're usually like good indie games.
I didn't know this.
Yes, and so I downloaded the Netflix version of 12 Minutes, and you just sign in with your Netflix account.
That's so
and
weird.
it's free, and they got
What do you-
tons of games.
Played on.
I played on my phone,
Oh, okay.
but you can also play it on your computer because
Yeah.
it's like where these platforms exist already. You just get the Netflix version, and your Netflix account lets you play for free.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I got it because it was like Willem Dafoe is amazing, and like and I was like, and it's a time loop game,
Yeah.
and I was like, I love time loop stories, you know.
It's pretty wild.
So I was like, I want to check it out, and so I'm glad you played it because it's like, you know, you've watched movies with me where I'm kind of like, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're watching this.
Yes.
I think what I dislike about this game is it makes you play it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Like the
I
worst
hate
possible
it.
outcomes.
So much, yeah. Like, so to me, I think the biggest thing was it's like the story is pretty obviously quick. Like the 12 minutes you're looping through
Yeah.
is this cop comes in, like arrests your wife and you, and demands to know where some watch is, and then like executes you in your own apartment.
Yeah.
Like it's gruesome.
Yes.
And so it's like I kind of played through the first couple loops, like, you know, checking every corner, seeing all the things to touch and mess with and everything. And then even I was like, well, I didn't find anything interesting, so maybe I'll just go ahead and have dessert with my wife before this guy breaks in or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like stuck. And I like look up the thing. It crossed my mind to try to give my wife sleeping pills. That's so gross. I thought, there's no way. That's not what you do here.
Yeah.
But it is.
There's
You can't advance the story until you drug your wife. And that's the least messed up plot point.
I
you
was
run
gonna say there's some like really like uncomfortable moments where like me who I can handle all this stuff no problem. I like can distance myself from like any sort of like harrowing media
Yeah.
better than almost anybody I know, and I take pride in that, you know? I can watch like people get chewed apart by monsters in a horror movie and be like, that's rough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat though, you know, while I'm watching this.
Slurp my spaghetti.
Yeah. Or like I can watch like really like traumatizing like dramatic thriller stuff, and like yeah, it upsets me. I'm not like cheering on the bad guy, but
Right.
I'm not like this is tough. I don't know. Like Randy has learned recently that she can't really watch Game of Thrones anymore. It's a little too intense, you know.
Yeah. No, that's
And no judgment, you know.
no, that's like what I get is like I think that's the big thing for me is that when you're watching a movie, you're like, oh, that's terrible. Can't
Yeah.
believe that happened. Maybe I wish I didn't see it.
Yeah.
When you're playing it in a video game, you're like doing it.
Yeah, I
And it's
have
like,
to make
ugh,
this decision.
Ugh,
Quote, even though
no.
it's forcing me to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I after I realized I needed to drug my wife, I wish I'd quit and not played it.
Yeah.
Like, this
Did
is
you
a-
finish it though?
I did.
Okay. Yeah,
This is
yeah.
like a not recommend for me. But because at that point, I was in so deep, I'd already crossed this moral line
It's
that I was
true.
like, I need to know what happens. I got to figure it out.
Now I'm
Wish
I'm
I
in there
didn't
now.
know. Wish I did not know.
No. Yeah.
Worst plot twist ever.
It's pretty wild. And I do think it's funny too that was like such zing against itself. Like when it came out, like what people were talking about it, they're like, it's really cool, except for this, like this like plot in general.
Yes,
Like,
it is. Like, I wish there was like a Mario 12 minutes or whatever. Right? Like, it's like
where he gets to eat cake with Peach.
yeah, like that's what I wanted.
And
because
then,
it's
like,
even like
but if you don't find the magic star in time, Bowser busts in.
yeah, I'm dipping close to spoilers, so you might want to fast forward 30 seconds if you're going to subject yourself to this game. Like, I thought the story was wrapping up, and I was like, what a weird video game where like the finale is between the two characters I'm not controlling.
Yeah.
And then it does like the flashback
Yeah.
to reveal the big twist.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no.
And then you were mad through your phone. That's actually where your phone's camera exploded, isn't
Yeah.
it? I reviewed.
I did definitely uninstalled it. And it's like good writing because it stuck with me.
Yeah.
I finished this like a month ago, and it stuck with me. So it's like
all this time.
excellent writing, but I'm like, if I could have all those thoughts back and not spend it on that.
Super fast. I didn't mention this, but I just thought about it. I watched a show called The Rig. I think I told you about it in passing.
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Got a lot of cool cast members in it, like a lot of Game of Thrones alumni. Getting to the finale, I realized that it's really just a giant, like, global warming, like, eco-terrorism type, like,
sure,
treat the planet nice and it'll treat you nice type story. And I was like, that is a bummer. Because it's not that I don't care about the planet, but I don't want to watch something that like brands itself as sci-fi horror, like an ocean-based The Thing or like Alien, you know? And it just turns out to be, or like, what was that one movie with Dustin Hoffman? Sphere? You remember Sphere?
I never saw Sphere.
Oh, that was a wild one.
Maybe I'll get around to it.
Sam Jackson's in it, Sharon Stone, I think.
That seems good.
Yeah.
I saw Sharon Stone on SNL last weekend.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because Sam Smith sang like a Gregorian chant.
Unholy? Is that
No, he sang that first.
Okay.
Where he wore this like puffy pink costume. Where I was like, if it wasn't Sam Smith, I would think this is a children's show. Like it's insane. like I don't know what he was like.
I have to watch this now.
He was like a classic crooner, but now he's like Lady Gaga.
Yeah, he's bananas now.
So that was his first song was Unholy, which was already kind of like what, and then the other song he like has these guys in robes and they're like, "Arr." And Sharon Stone is laying in a bed, and then it's done. That's it.
I'm so confused.
I was so confused too.
It's so weird.
But then she had a cameo in a sketch later. It was good. Aubrey Plaza was the host.
Oh,
It's a good one. It's a good one.
That's
I
I think I was just trying to say that, like, I don't really know. Maybe I was just, like, agreeing with the fact that, like, I hate going into something expecting, like, you know. Like,
and then you get, like, lectured.
Yeah. Or
Like, don't be mad at me because I don't take my grocery bags back to the grocery to recycle them.
I'm glad I wasted 6 hours of my life I'll never get back.
So, like, there's a moment in Avatar where, have you seen it yet?
No.
But it's still pretty good. Yeah. There's a moment where it's like they're all in trouble, but it's like the kids save the day.
Of course they do.
And I'm like, it's a metaphor for how the children will save the earth.
Yeah. It's like the talking whales or whatever. Or
I was telling you about those whales, man.
Yeah.
They're a
well,
trip.
one of my really good friends at work, he saw it, and he was like, it's not bad.
No.
But I just don't understand the extreme hype around it. And he goes, and it's kind of like how it was with the first one, though. Yeah. I was like, exactly. Like, the first one's a fun movie. It's a good movie. But it is literally Dances with Wolves in space.
Yeah. This is Fast and Furious in space. If they hadn't gone to space.
Already. My favorite is how James Cameron admits defeat. Not because the movie's not successful. Because obviously it's like the 5th grossing high.
Yes.
But because it's like going to consume the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And he's like, because like originally it was going to end at 3.
Yeah, but it turned it to 4 and 5 or whatever.
Yeah, and he goes, well, if 2's successful, I'll do 4 and 5 for sure. I have ideas for 4 and 5, but I'm not like sold on 4 and 5. But if 2's successful, I'll do 4 and 5. And then 2's like, what, past $2 billion now? And he's like, okay, I guess.
I mean, I don't hate it because he clearly loves it. He loves the world of Pandora.
Yeah.
It makes him happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are my like retirement, like like Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise just wants to jump out of his planes.
Oh, because he runs like this?
Yeah. Tom Cruise just wants to jump out of planes for the rest of his life.
Well, he
can do it. You know,
he doesn't even want to act
like
anymore.
These are like retirement goals. Yeah, right.
He's 100%.
We need y'all to give us $2 billion for our podcast, so we can just do this for the rest of our life.
I mean, come on. Because then we have all the time in the world to play whatever games you all want. Yeah. Watch whatever you want. For sure. If you gave us $2 billion. I'd find the time.
We'll start streaming 12 minutes right now.
Oh, man. Until we're done. Twice.
Yeah. We'll see all 4 endings.
In one sitting, and it'll be great. We'll be better than Markiplier, or whatever his name is. The YouTube guy that, like, he just, like, streams, like, horror games, like, in a row.
Oh, yeah?
Like, just, like, little indie horror games. So, that was 12 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess the last thing that I'll really, like, dive into.
Okay.
Kind of quick, too, because it's not like it's super, like, spectacular or anything. But it's worth watching if you like procedural shows. Will Trent on, I believe, ABC. It is based on a series of books that I just found out.
Okay.
Horror thriller books. But basically, the main dude, Will Trent, obviously he's like a detective that has dyslexia. Which I always think is funny that in every like big mainstream procedural show, the main person has some sort of mental
quirk.
Yes. Whether they're autistic or they have dyslexia or they have like eidetic memory or something.
Did you ever watch Limitless?
Yeah.
That was a fun, like not the movie, the show.
No, I know what you're talking about.
The show was legit, but
because
it was
Bradley Cooper shows up in the show.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
finale.
So sad it never got a season 2.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It's because it shouldn't have been good because it was based on Limitless, but it was
because nobody cared about the movie.
Yeah,
but then the show was a lot of fun. Yeah, but no, Will Trent. I think what separates it, and I noticed it right away from the pilot, is that most procedural shows, when like it's the series pilot, it's like a big case. Right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a 2-parter where like, part 1, part 2 tied together. But at the end of part 2, they're like, oh, now you get to solve all of our cases now. Every murder that comes into our office is yours now.
Yeah.
And they kind of do it in this.
But his thing is dyslexia?
Well, like, no, he's just a very good detective. And he's like super detached. The first episode ends on like a huge cliffhanger. Doesn't even fully get resolved in the next episode. The first case that he's involved in the show is a kidnapping that was like kind of staged. Like there's also a murder, so the murder gets confused for the kidnapping. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And
so they like solve one, but the other's like a bigger story.
Yeah. Neat. And it leads into like a potentially hopefully season long.
Sure.
Like overarching mystery. Yeah. Neat. And just the cast is really fun. And it's not like just super corny like most procedural shows are. Like The Rookie, I like it, but it is really corny.
It's gotten way more corny.
Oh, I know.
I feel like it really turned a corner when they went to Mexico to raid a drug lord's house.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That's the moment it jumped the shark.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of moments. There's so many like characters in that show that I'm like, this isn't real. People don't do this. They don't act like that. Yeah. And I know that they're trying to paint police in a positive light, and that's great.
I feel like they try to do a better job of being like, not all police are good.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's the truth, It's like with every authority job.
Yeah, like they got the lawyer on there who's always like, don't say anything.
Yeah, or like the one lawyer that's like working with a bad guy. One other quick thing I was going to say, though.
Yeah.
Hey, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet?
No. I saw it got like 11 Academy Award nominations, and I'm like, dang it, I need to watch that.
I'm so happy because it is still my number 1 movie from 2022. It's like that, Nope, which got like completely snubbed, which is a bummer.
That movie, I love. I got it for Christmas. I got it in 4K.
Dude, it's so
I'm so stoked to watch it.
Yeah, I finally got Rainey to watch it. She loved it. She was like, I understand why you do
it. It's so good, and it's not some weird gross out horror movie.
No. I mean, there's only like one moment that's like kind of gross.
Yeah.
But it's like just...
But overall, it's just like classic. Like it's very Hitchcockian. That's what I keep telling people. It's so good.
Ooh, that's a good way to describe it. I didn't even think about that. It
is.
Great. I always described it as like an R-rated Spielberg horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of like Spielberg type vibes.
I feel that. That's fair. It is, like, if like, Jurassic Park was comfortable using the N-word.
Yeah. Or Jaws. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, Nope, and then Glass Onion is probably my 3rd favorite movie from last year.
Yes, I really like Glass Onion.
And then, you got your Black Panther 2 in there. This is like in my top 5 somewhere.
Sure.
Like, but in order, those are my top 3 for sure. And I was so happy that Everything Everywhere All at Once is like at the top of the pack. Not that it necessarily matters in the long run.
Sure.
Because like you could not be nominated at all for any other category and still win Best Picture.
But it got 11. That's like 11. Ben-Hur and Titanic.
It has the big 4 in the actors. At least one actor in each of the 4 categories. Cow. I think the supporting actress has 2 actors in it.
Nice.
Jamie Lee Curtis and then another one.
I think I might watch it tonight.
You should, man.
Just do it.
But yeah, no. So like the nominations for this is all that to say. The Academy Award nominations are announced. Whether for better or for worse, I go through and I watch every nominated film for anything. Whether it could be a foreign film.
How did I not know this about you?
I don't know.
Because there's one other person I know who does watch every nominated film.
Yeah. Is it Luke?
No.
No.
I bet he wants to. He might. But
Yeah.
again, like, it doesn't surprise me to do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
he hadn't said it by now. Same with Luke. I bet if I ask him, he'll say yes.
Yeah, or at least he attempts to, maybe
Yeah.
not succeeds. And that's like how I am. I at least attempt to. I don't succeed every year.
Oh,
'Cause
this
sometimes
other guy I
like
know, he's like,
he hunts
he's
them down.
committed to it.
Yeah,
There's like last year, he was telling me about a couple of them where he was, I mean, best costume, sure. Nothing else is going on.
yeah,
I was like, good for you
yeah,
for
man.
actually watching them all. Unlike the people who vote for them.
Right? I don't know what it is, but this year I've read so many like dumb, like basically Reddit posts of people in the academy that do the votes, and you're like, oh, I didn't even watch half these.
Yeah.
They're like on the ballot or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then why are you voting? It's so stupid.
It's bizarre. But that's what's so impressive about Everything Everywhere All at Once, is it wasn't in nomination season. Like, that's why there's a nominee season,
Yeah,
is because everyone knows people won't watch them unless they watch it like right before they vote.
exactly.
And so,
Yeah, and dude,
so the
it's
fact
so
that it was
good.
that prolific.
And I feel like it deserves pretty much everything it's been nominated for. I mean, there's a few that I feel like other films did better at, but like a lot of the big ones. I think I'd be very happy if it wins Best Picture this year. I'd be very happy.
That'd be cool.
Like, and I tell everyone,
I'll be happy if I watch it tonight, and then it does. I'll be so happy. I like never
Yeah.
see Best Picture winners.
However, so like for those of you who haven't watched, well, it's probably a lot of people, to be honest with you, because like almost everyone I've talked to, they're like, I've never even heard of this movie, and then now that it's nominated, like it's everywhere. And
Bullet Train. That's one of my favorite movies of last year.
ooh, that was a good one. That was a lot of fun. It's like the American Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah. Sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're good. That movie's on Netflix now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was super random.
No, I gotta watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, you got to, man.
Do not be distracted by the
because like
beautiful
people are like, what do you like? Can you describe it? I'm like, I've narrowed it down to this. Okay,
All right.
it's what Multiverse of Madness wanted to be, but failed at being. Okay, it's got everything you want out of a movie, like literally everything. It's got emotional stuff that'll make you cry, guarantee it, or at least tear up. It's got real weird stuff that like halfway through you're like, what am I watching? This is bizarre. It's got stuff that'll make you laugh out loud because either it's way weird or it's just like legitimately funny. It's got inappropriate stuff that you do not want anyone else to see.
What?
Yeah. Like just real quick, like not like lingering. Just like one scene in particular that I was watching with my mom. I was like, well, now I'm uncomfortable.
Mom is just way too into it.
Yeah, Mom laughed real hard at it though. She thought it was funny. It's got fantastic action sequences. They're like really well choreographed fight scenes. Just acting all around, writing all around. Soundtrack's a banger. Costume design is incredible. Everything you want out of a movie in one package. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Wow!
Wow! Hooray! So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Was I'm going through and trying to watch everything that I've missed. I'm making some progress. Last watch, Banshees of Inisherin. Do you remember that movie in Bruges?
Yeah.
So it's that team.
Oh, yeah. In Bruges, I loved In Bruges.
So you would like Banshees of Inisherin.
Cool.
What about you? Do you have anything else, or is that going to lead us on out of here?
We can wrap it up.
All right.
Wait, that's a lot of geeking.
Yeah, for sure. So what are we doing after this? We're going to play this lovely little card
We're
game.
gonna play Scout by
Oink Games, we'll say.
yes from Oink Games.
There we go. So stay tuned, or tune into the playthrough episode.
You made it to the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Make sure to review, subscribe, like, heart, thumbs up, star, or whatever your listening platform lets you do to say we're something a human could listen to. You can message us on Twitter, Facebook, or Anchor.fm with all complaints and corrections. All the links you need are on AboveTheBoardPodcast.com. Stay above the board.
With Josh and Phil.
You win. Perfect.